Did the internet die, Joe? So yeah, for a base coat like this, I'm taking probably 2-to-1 Menoth White highlight to this gray. The Menoth White is a really subtle color, so I want to really reinforce that while leaving it dark enough to actually have decent coverage on the skin. So this skin will probably take a couple coats to get there, but that's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things, because it'll be one coat, do the brown wash, followed it up with a second coat. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well and everyone's painting projects and doing things. I got Mark nearby me, who I have asked with no reservation to finish up his Storm Raptor from War Machine and Hordes, because we're doing a Colossal Wrestling event and I really want to see Storm Raptor on the table. And I'm really excited to see what he can do with it. If anything else, Mark's got a Wold Wrath.
No, he's just because he did stand up. Because you originally did in the he was in the long range, like 3 boxes.
So yeah, this color base, I'm really liking it. I'll be hitting it with a purple wash whenever this sets, and then come back and pick out the highlights and such. But first it'll be that brown wash to start getting everything nice and weathered.
So what's the model is this for?
Age of Sigmar, Joe.
Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. And not only is it for Age of Sigmar, but it's for David as well.
Oh. So what army did he decide to end up playing?
So David's always liked to play Death a lot of times. Like whenever he wanted a serious army, and by serious I mean like not for him to take seriously, but like thematically serious, he went to Undead. Because normally he likes Goblins.
Okay.
Because Goblins just are real wacky and they'll do random stuff. And so sometimes that's a lot of fun, but sometimes the RNG can be really frustrating. Yeah. Luckily in Age of Sigmar they got rid of like stuff like that, which is really cool. And I really appreciate. So yeah, I have successfully blocked in the rest of the colors, so I'm now going to hit this with a brown wash. So give me 1 second to find a brown wash in my bag.
So Caspian showed me Shade Spy the other day, or last week.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. It's nice and simple.
Yeah.
Nice skirmish game. Has basic objectives and just go do this, beat this guy, then defeat this guy, then stay with the objective. And I like the idea that you're building your deck with these cards that already come with the game.
Yeah.
So we like that idea. So, matter of fact, I was thinking about getting those. Are those dwarves over there on the shelf that we have?
Yes. Yeah, dwarves are one of the teams, and they're fire slayers. So they are the fiery berserker dwarves.
Ah, okay, but not the regular dwarves.
No, they are not your run-of-the-mill regular dwarf.
Now, is
Games Workshop?
Yeah, Game Workshop thinking about releasing more?
Yeah, so they are definitely thinking about releasing more. They were not expecting Shadespire to be as widely popular as it was, and so they are trying to pump up the production schedule to match the demand. for the game, which means releasing new factions and things like that.
Okay.
So they have plans for it, but no announcements.
All right.
So yeah, if you want to play dwarves, Fire Slayers are going to be the way to go for the time being.
Now I wonder if you can mix the two, like mix between the regular dwarves and the Fire Slayer dwarves.
In Age of Sigmar, yes. In Shadespire, no.
Okay.
Shadespire, you are set to the warband that you selected.
Mm-hmm.
Can't take cards though.
Yeah, you can take upgrades and such from a different warband, which is kind of cool.
They have some that are non-faction specific that come with each one. They're also releasing them separately if you don't want.
Yeah.
So it's 3 inches.
Which is super big. Oh, thanks, Holly.
So I'm assuming, I mean, do you know, is there any news on any Lizardmen coming out for Shadespire?
No.
No.
Yeah, trust me. If there was Lizardmen, I'd be talking about Lizardmen. But yeah, so they will have new Shadespire stuff coming out in the future, but it's Games Workshop, so expect them to be fairly tight-lipped about it until it actually happens, because they don't want to spoil anything. They don't want to get people's hopes up and then have to change their production schedule or, you know, have to change things after they've been announced.
Okay.
That's really dangerous for a company.
So even if the model has bolt gun, it'll be all like taped up.
So yeah, when you're doing the shade, make sure you're fairly careful during this step, because you don't want to ruin any of that like color work that you've done before. And if you guys wanted to see how I did the spectral effects, I'll be working on another model as I'm waiting for this one to dry. So I will go back and take care of that. But I really like using brown washes over like silver metals for tarnished metal, because it gives it that nice grimy look.
They're copying the custodians, the bodyguards. No, but he is pinned. That's the Lord. Okay. So he doesn't have those. And then knockback.
Well, thanks, Jesse.
Knockback is 1 inch. Yes.
So yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'll probably need to stop and let the shade settle. So I'm going to move over to painting the chromatic cogs.
Ooh.
The chromatic cogs is one of the new spell effects coming out for Age of Sigmar, and I personally love this thing because it's really cool looking and it's really powerful in the game. So I wanted to have a purplish magenta starfield pattern running through it. So to do that, we're going to make a magenta glaze, and then we're going to keep hitting it and layering it down with purples as we go down the model.
Is it gonna be like a brand new set of cogs, or is it gonna be like rust, or?
I want it to be nice and golden because I'm going to think these guys are going with my lizardmen.
Okay.
And my lizardmen really like pristine things.
Oh,
So
nice.
what we're going to do.
So what is this? Is this piece is more than just for looks, correct?
Yeah, it is a spell.
Okay.
So, sorry for running away from the mic. Whenever you cast the spell, it takes a physical part in the game. So, when that happens, when the spell's cast, you're going to place this model down. Oh, there goes a brush.
I'll get it.
And it will move around depending on whose turn it is. So I am thinning down some Murderous Magenta from P3 with some Cairnburn Crimson from Games Workshop to make this nice little magenta. And then I'm going to do the same thing with Beaten Purple plus this Druchii Violet shade. And these together should hopefully make the effect that I'm looking for. I might have to come back in with a blue just to kind of get things set up, but I want the purple to definitely be more dark. Oh yeah, the weather outside is perfect for this painting.
It's frightful.
So when you're doing this, I always recommend priming white. And you're going to be wanting to pull the paint and the glaze. The issue that a lot of the white primers are going to have is that they are going to want to pull because of you know, capillary action and such. So you're going to have to be diligent and constantly work with them. So it's going to take a lot of moving paint around. And whenever you're doing glow effects, especially something like this where it's going to be going into like a physical real object, make sure that you are stretching it more forward than you think it should, because you're going to be pushing back with the physical object color.
Alright, I think I can do the
So I'm going to
prime
apply,
and then figure out what still needs cat filling.
start applying some to the base. And you're going, at this point, like when you're applying these paints, you're going to want to make sure that you are not you know, like you don't want to get brush strokes in there. You don't want to make sure you don't get brush strokes, other things. Like I just saw a hair, like a brush hair pop up in there, and all that. So now I'm being a little bit more aggressive with the purple now that I have more of the magenta down, and they're bleeding into each other. And now seeing them both on the model together, it's pretty clear that I'm going to have to add in a tertiary color to really get that color shift that I want. So, and that's something you always need to be able to do, is be fluid, you know, like your paints, to be able to move back and forth between ideas and such. Because some things just won't work out the way you think they will.
No. There goes another one of our surefire plans backfired again.
Yep.
So why is it important to prime with white in this
So
case?
white saves me a step, right?
Okay.
Like, so if I prime black, I would have to paint over the black to do this effect.
Okay.
Because this effect relies on a white undercoat, because you want the paints really thin so the white shows through.
Okay.
So I am constantly going back and forth, making sure everything's together. So this piece as well could easily be primed gold or silver because of all the metal elements to it.
Yeah.
But I really wanted an easy job doing the glowing effects, so I went with something much brighter.
Okay.
Yeah. For those watching, this purple is very easy to achieve and does not take that much work. So I'm coming back with the pure purple shade now for the base, because I'm trying to push that color shift a little bit more. You can see, like, when I apply it to the bottom, it becomes much darker.
The camera doesn't really do that much justice.
Oh yeah, yeah. The camera's not picking up the color changes all that much.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Like, it picks up the night haunt stuff a little bit more. But yeah, we'll post up a photo of what I get to today from this, so you guys can kind of see what's going on. It's always important to make sure what your measurements are too when you have to make new shades and things like that. So just made some more of that magenta and applying over there. It's also really important to apply while everything's still kind of wet, because if not, you're going to start getting those like stains. But yeah, I'm probably going to come back and hit the purple with a blue ink to really kind of push that color change. So we are just the initial steps. And realize, like, you know, this will take several steps to get to the color shift or change or glow effect you want. And at any point you can come back and like correct things. So like don't ever get distraught where you're like looking at your model and you're like, oh man, I ruined it. You didn't. You can fix it. Yeah, right? Like I think that was the most important thing my high school art teacher ever told me, is that everything has an ugly phase.
Except for Bob Ross's work for some reason.
You know what? I still think Bob Ross had some ugly phases. Like sometimes he did some stuff that was like questionable. Caused whole Twitch chats to shout ruined. So yeah, I'm gonna apply a little bit of this purple down at the bottom. And applying the straight shade up definitely kind of helps push the color transition. So once again, it's really important while you're working on this stuff to not overdo it. Realize like when enough is enough and move on to the next model, so you're not actively you know, overworking the paint, which ends up making it look really painterly, if that makes sense. Like if you overwork the paint, you're going to start seeing streaks or blotches and things like that, and people are going to be able to be like, oh, hey, this model was painted instead of existing in this imaginary world.
So is there a history with this piece?
No, as far as I know, it's completely new. Like it didn't exist in the old game.
Okay.
So
They had like speed of light and things like that in
Yeah.
Warhammer Fantasy, but
yeah, that would be the closest thing this would be speed of light.
basically double your initiative and movement speed and all that too. I think it affected your weapon skill too. Or that was at the last one. I don't know, it's been a while. There's one that like made you super fast movement. There's one that made you like weapon skill 10, initiative 10.
Speed of light was weapon skill 10, initiative 10.
That one was great on flagellants.
Oh, that one was great on Lizardmen.
Yeah, because Saurus Warriors appreciated that as well. But yeah, flagellants were weapon skill 2, so going to 10 was a nice bonus.
Oh yeah. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this purple shade, and I'm going to apply it to the skin. And I'm not going to as like aggressively apply it like I did on the chromatic cogs. I'm actually going to apply a little bit and then blend back, and then apply a little bit and then blend back. And I'm going to try to find the creases in the skin, in the flesh,
I know, right?
to do this.
You don't get any positives. Like, do you have any idea how many negatives exist in this game?
So what's the history with this character? Does it have a note?
So he's part of the new Nighthaunt's army. He's not a named character, so like we don't, you know his wants or dreams, or if he's got a backstory or anything like that. But he is, he's one of the new characters, and he is pretty neat. He's a spellcaster for these ghosts.
It's a ghost that can cast spells. Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess you don't have to be physical to do it.
No, you sure don't.
Yeah.
In fact, he's more, you know, more magic than anything else right now, right? So.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a physical form.
Yeah, he just kind of.
So that's interesting. Like, so is that clothes? Or is that I mean, what?
So he is described as being 100% ethereal.
Okay.
So that means he, you know, whatever clothes or weapons he has of him is a manifestation of his spirit. Not because someone like gave him a staff and was like, you, there, go forth. So yeah. So yeah, I did a little bit of that purple shade to make that skin kind of there, make it pop. And I'll probably go back with Sickly Skin from Privateer Press to do some highlights. for those who haven't tried it, Sickly Skin is possibly one of my new favorite colors from them because it literally goes on everything. It's like Frank's Red Hot sauce, whatever. So we got our Sickly Skin. We're going to thin it down a little bit because we don't want to overdo anything. And that's one of the big issues with like applying straight from the pot isn't, you know, my biggest thing is like thinning it down and all that prevents you from like overstating a highlight. When it's nice and thin with a little bit of water, you can really kind of make things pop without it like looking too contrasty. So I'm here touching up Knuckles. There's like a little bit of a raised line on his skin, so I'm doing that for a nice simple highlight.
See, this is the point when you guys start making
That's what I noticed.
So do you have any Age of what's it?
Age of Sigmar?
Age of Sigmar tournaments or events coming out?
So we have an event this Sunday. So this Sunday we have our kind of like Let's Play meetup get together thing.
Okay.
Because of the new edition is releasing this Saturday.
Oh, the Soul Wars.
Soul Wars. Yeah, this is what this. Yeah, this guy's from Soul Wars.
Okay.
So yeah, we have that dropping Saturday, and that will give you guys like a day to kind of like familiarize yourself with the rules, check things out, learn about the game, and then you can show up on Sunday to get some games in and meet some of the other local players.
So
And that's the big thing, is like meeting other people.
So when are they all getting together for this meetup?
It'll be Sunday around 10.
10. Okay.
Potentially earlier or later, depending on when people show up.
Now, is anything else happening this Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah, Sunday's the swap meet.
Yay!
Hooray, swap meet.
Yeah. So also, you want to come on down and
Trade some stuff.
Oh yeah. So.
Yeah, so I got the skin highlighted. Before I get back to the metals, I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting on the cloak. Oh, thanks, Sean. I appreciate that. Sean, who just popped by, is one of our local commission painters, artist, and all-around nice guy. And I talked with Sean, and he'll be running a paint class for us sometime coming up in mid-July. That's really exciting. Mostly because we haven't done a paint class in a good long time. Secondly, it'll now be a more structured paint class than it ever has been before, which is really good. And third, Sean is the one who's teaching it. So I'm loving all those three factors. Sean will be doing one over the basics of painting and getting started with an army. So everything from like color selection to actually like doing the base coats of your army will be covered under it. It'll be about an hour-long class, $10 for the class itself, and it's a good way to get started. It'll be a series, so like even if you don't pick up this one, you can join the next class and do all that.
Is it going to be during the morning time, the evening?
It'll be Monday evening to start off.
Okay. So I might have to join that.
Yeah.
Just to learn all this stuff. It always helps to gain new skills.
Yeah. Sean, in addition to being a phenomenal artist, is also a teacher of arts,
Okay.
which is really big because, you know, he's got that background set into teaching folks.
No,
So he knows how to get the most out of folks around him.
yeah, he actually showed me a couple of things. Black lining, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed me how.
Blacklining is a great technique and something we'll have to get him to cover like in a whole course in itself.
Oh, absolutely. So it was. I mean, yeah. He also makes, you know, I always enjoyed colors in general. Just something about the shades and all the nuance. Not I want to say nuance, but just aspects of it. So the idea is, so I need to really start learning some color theory myself. So. So.
Yeah, so right now I'm picking out some highlights in the cloak so I can call it kind of done for the day.
So any new armies, new things that are coming out that you're excited about?
Well, so Crucible Guard is coming out soon from Privateer Press.
Okay.
I'm really excited about that. I might have a paint stream coming up where I paint some of the Crucible Guard Alchemist squads.
All right.
So I'm excited for that because it's a whole new army of crazy scientists for War Machine.
Crazy scientists.
And that's an aesthetic I can get behind.
Great Scott. Everybody's going, Great
Yeah.
Scott, Great Scott, Great Scott.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I wish.
Rick and Morty. Just going around with a what is that? Dimension gun or portal gun going around just making menacing, just making problems.
Yeah, so all I'm doing with this denim is coming in and just doing a little bit of edge highlighting on the model. And that basically just kind of makes the little folds in the clothes stick out. Because you don't want to overdo it, especially when you're doing like glow effects. But you do want to make sure that the cloth feels like it has form to it outside of the glowy parts. I'm going to have to come back in and touch up some areas of the glowy cloth just because through drying and all that it got a little blotchy. And for a character, you know, I don't really want that. If it was like a rank and file line guy, it's like at that point you're just like, whatever. Like, no one should be paying attention to this guy enough to worry about it.
Like on the battlefield?
Yeah, like on the tabletop perspective,
tabletop, okay.
Like from this far away, glows look fine, but when you're closer up, you're like, oh, like it got a little blotchy. And you don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to take a little bit of rust gray, and this will be kind of the final highlight for the top portion of the cloth.
So I have a question actually. Being a painter, how do you know when you feel like something is done? I mean, how do you because you keep on...
that's the first step of being a painter is recognizing that you'll never feel like anything's done, but you just run out of time to do anything more.
Okay.
And so that's a big thing with me, is not necessarily being like, oh man, this thing's done. It's like, nope, I have run out of time, and assigning myself time to do a model. So like I can say, okay, I can't put any more into this. I'm just going to call it a day.
All right. So, and because that's a dilemma that a lot of people who create things have. It's like, when do you know when done is done? When actually meet or that standard you're aiming for.
Yeah, it's really a tough call.
Yeah.
And I struggle with it a lot because and there's sometimes where I find a good point, but I'm like, no, I'm not done yet, and I'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
And I end up getting to a point that I don't like on the model, and that's an issue, right? Like, because you don't ever want to be kind of satisfied and then go back and keep working and then be like, oh nope, ruined.
Yeah.
So it's very important to recognize when you hit that time to say, okay, nope, this is done. And one thing I've been getting really into lately is color transitions.
Okay.
So I'll do something kind of green as a base and then do blue for the highlight.
Okay.
So
now color transition sounds fun. Sounds interesting.
To me, it makes the model interesting, and I will be honest, it's kind of like a phase that I'm going through right now. It might not be something I do much past this.
Okay.
But you go through little phases where you have a style, right? And right now, I'm super heavy into the let's make everything have a color transition, as well as proper shadows and highlights and all that. So. What's so funny?
Nothing. It's just it's an inside joke.
Being made fun of.
No, everything all right? Yeah, everything going good. Everything's going good. So he's really into color transition now.
Oh, hey, Derice.
So, Everything's going good. Everything's going good. You're good.
Darius is also an expert of painting models,
Yeah,
correct?
No, not at all.
What? Darius?
Not in the slightest. Don't believe the lies.
I think you're amazing.
There you go.
I think
So
Alright.
if you were to paint your necklines, what color would you paint them?
It would be either green
Okay.
or red. Like that would be the primary colors, green or red.
All right. And that would of course be the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if they would have gray, would have black, would
Yeah,
have
we would have
bronze.
it would have black, and then like gray
Highlights.
highlights.
Highlights. Okay. Cool.
I want it to be as menacing as possible.
Okay.
All right, so I got the cloak done, or at least as done as I want to get it.
Do you know why,
So I'm going to go back and
green
start
is
doing some
usually
highlights on the
used
metallics.
Necrons and magic. Do you know why that is? Like, green usually is in the color theory. You see people associate green with a kind of a ghostly color or supernatural thing.
So I'm taking some of this radiant platinum. Whoo boy, it's that thick.
So yeah, that's why the necron is that. One reason.
So it just plays into the whole. And then more and more.
All right, yep, just need to be mixed up. So radiant platinum's awesome because it is a silver color that has hints of like yellows and browns in it. So it'll be absolutely great to treat the greatsword, like all the silver detail with it. And I'm really just doing kind of edge highlights on this. Because I don't want to spend a lot of time on the metallics, and I also want to make sure that they stay weathered looking. So just making sure to catch some ledges and some highlights and things like that. And maybe even come in, and since it's got that bit of gold-ish to it, it can be a great highlight for this kind of dingy gold I got going on. So while working on the face, you want to kind of follow typical things for the face. You want to highlight noses, cheekbones, prominent features. So like, you want to make sure that you catch the crown or whatever helmet thing he's got going on with this highlight. And I'm making sure to start at where I want the most focal point of the highlight be, and then up, drag the model back up, and go from there.
So that's a war beast. What? Okay, kind of said what the cockatrice is going to fit. I don't really thought it had kind of had all the pieces. Some sort of support.
You would gain D3 times 10 credits.
I love the little people named together. When they first came out, they were
10 credits.
So yeah, I'm coming in and doing some highlights, basically focusing on the edges and the rim work with this guy. So just using the flat edge of my brush to make sure that I catch all the highlighted all the raised edge areas with this highlight. It's a great way to kind of push the contrast and make certain details pop.
So do we know what all comes into this Sigmar Soul War box?
Yeah, so you get both a about 1,000-point army for Night Haunts and the Stormcast.
Okay.
And that will range from multiple characters to units of infantry. And it will also have the rulebook, dice, scenarios, and all sorts of good stuff. So it is a phenomenal pickup. Definitely worth the money. Like, as we looked at it value-wise, and it's like, oh man, it is about like $200 plus of stuff for 160. So yeah, no, it's way more than that. It's probably about $230 for 160. So you're saving a lot of money on it.
All right. And the two armies, one of them is the considered to be the protagonists of the universe. Or?
Yeah, they're the Stormcast. They're the like poster child for the protectors, the forces of order. So they are the ones who kind of fly around and help other civilizations and things like that, beat back the undead or the forces of chaos or destruction. So they are great for anyone who likes playing the good guys, also anyone who doesn't like painting faces. All super good.
So what came, was it Warhammer that came first, or 40k?
Yeah, it was Warhammer that came first. It was fantasy.
Okay.
So
And then they decided to mix sci-fi and fantasy to create 40k.
Yep. So it's just one of those things. They decided to go that way. Like I think it was more of a hey, let's see what we can do kind of thing. I'm going to take some of this nihilide oxide and do some more weathering on him.
Oh.
So this is going to make a nice patina effect, and I want to focus it on the joints and the cracks and the crevices on the sky, because I think he should be nice and patina looking. And this effect goes great with all these golds that we did. But you really want to make sure that you do the patina wherever, like, water or sediment would rest. So it doesn't make much sense to do it on, like, the tip of a sword. But it makes a lot of sense to do, like, around rivets or in between panels. Or, like at the tip of this crown. So yeah, this is another way to create a lot of great contrast in the model, because bronze next to patina is a really like good color combo, and this is setting up to be super great. So yeah, this is
basically one rips the skin off and the other one like wraps around the person.
a lot of little stuff, and like all this is like really easy, and it makes a huge effect on the model. So, and it's just like kind of like learning where to apply it and how to apply it. And after that, you're pretty much like golden, or nice and rusty, as in this guy's case.
Because, everyone's got something to do.
So yeah, I hope everyone else is working on things and getting some painting done. I am doing my best to get this guy nice and finished up so we can have a template to paint the rest of David's models. So yeah, like I said, trying to find those like little cracks and crevices that water would like kind of catch and build up to make that rust effect is one of the big portions of doing this technique. Because if you make it believable, like, it doesn't really matter like kind of what color you go with, people will catch onto it.
Those guys are in the role-playing game, and they're the cask guys. The guys who make all of the casks, they eat them.
Yeah, just finding little spots to add this patina.
Because gunpowder's natural. It's not just.
And I'll be going back to the cogs in just a second.
Yeah, it's an outfit.
So do you usually paint two things at the same time?
I like to have at least a couple things on my workstation at any given time, just because I don't like, because generally, like, if I stop working, then I stop working. Like, I'll go play a video game and then not come back and keep painting. So I don't want that to happen. So when I do that with the, like, additional model, it keeps me busy and it keeps me, like, focused and bouncing back and forth between things. So, yeah,
Infernals come out, I'm getting it. I don't care if they have
I will
I haven't played
do my best.
War Machine.
Mark,
The CID.
I need your assistance.
Yeah.
The constant change. They really.
You see,
My job
on the wrist.
stressful all the time, and then this happens at the same time. Personal issues
So,
coming up too.
while the Night Hunt guy is drying, I am going to get back to the cogs. I'm going to be setting down a blue ink. So I'm going to use blue ink from Privateer Press. Man, what a great company. They just make the thing I was exactly looking for. So
Hellraiser is such a
we're back to this. You guys can kind of see the color transitions a little bit better now. So you can kind of see the purple and all that. I'm coming back with the blue ink. The intention of ink is not to be like a wash where it like pools in a recess, but it is to shift the tone. And I am trying to shift the tone at the bottom to make it a little bit more blue.
basically something has to trigger it.
So, oh, there goes the brush again.
I'll get it.
Thank you.
So I am applying this, and I am slowly pulling it up towards the top.
The whole time you're
And
okay.
as I'm doing this, I'm just wicking away and using it to blend into what I already have down.
And it's usually, they'll always have their casters more chunk card.
So yeah, the idea is to eventually like add a star pattern into the base of the chromatic cogs. Once again, to kind of push the lizardman aspect of it. And I'll probably coming back with as soon as this like fully sets, because the base coat did not 100% set, which is actually really good. So I can use this to blend a little bit more.
A little quirky.
And so when things get nice and dry, I can come back and start getting a little darker. And it's going to be, working with glow effects is, to me, really